Hey everybody, it's Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be talking about 6 things that I wish that I would have done once I got my first job and started making money off of that. So I'm going to warn you now, my neighbors are doing something with a saw and or a chainsaw. It sounds like both. But I think they're building a pool, which it's in the middle of winter. But anyways, so if you hear that, or if I make a bunch of faces during this because I'm aggravated, I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm gonna wait a little bit to film because they'll probably stop at some point. And they stopped for a couple hours, so by the time I sat down, of course, like as soon as I went to like click record on my computer for the microphone, they started again. So I can't do anything about it at this point. So what I would change about my habits. So going back to my first job, I actually made notes for this. So yay me. Usually I don't make notes and I'm rambly. So going back to my first real job, not my actual first job, which was like a seasonal at a clothing store, and they only scheduled me like 4 hours a week, if that. So I didn't make hardly anything there, like maybe $50 a paycheck. Like, it wasn't really even enough for gas. So, I mean, it probably wasn't enough for gas, but you know what I mean. So I was making halfway decent money living at home for a college student. Living at home, I should say. I brought home about $600 every paycheck, which that job let me work like they were doing that shady thing where they made you work like the minimum or like the maximum you could and still be part-time, so they didn't have to pay you benefits, you know. So eventually at that job I went up to like actual full-time and was probably eligible for benefits, but I think you had to work there for like, be in that thing for like a year before you can get benefits, which is dumb, but anyways. So that was $600 a paycheck did I say month? A paycheck was not enough to live on. But the only bill that I had was paying my car insurance. I was on my parents' like car insurance, what's that called? Plan? Their car insurance. And so that was like maybe $100 a month because I was a young driver. So, which now it's like $75, so it's not that much less. So after the $100, I had $1,100 a month basically free. I mean, I paid for my own gas and stuff, of course, and like if I went out with, you know, to whatever, I'd buy my own food or so where did that all go? Like, I had $1,100 a month. My savings, I got my first, like, when I started babysitting and stuff, like, I actually babysat for somebody, like, pretty regularly for a few months. So I was able to save up, I think I saved up to buy a pair of boots with that, and then I put, like, half of my earnings from that into savings. Was I still in high school? No, I wasn't in high school because it was during the day. It had to have been during college, anyways. So my parents always taught me about how important it is to put money into savings, and you know, like you should put a certain percent, especially if you don't have any other bills, like put 50% at least. And also we did tithing for our church, so I paid 10% to the church directly, which I still do that, which I kind of fell off like between then and now because it's been several years, but now I do that again. So basically what I did was I paid my insurance, and then at some point I started paying for my phone too, but that still wasn't $1,100. So I would put a little bit into savings, and then I would buy a whole bunch of makeup. I would go shopping at the mall, like to Forever 21 or Hot Topic or whatever, and buy a bunch of stuff that I didn't need. At that point, it only wasn't until I got older that I bought like a bunch of house stuff. Like I've recently, before I started doing the no buy and the budget thing, I would buy a whole bunch of like pictures to hang on the wall and dishes and like storage containers and stuff that I clearly don't have anywhere to put because I don't have my own place. Like, we already have that kind of stuff here, so I don't need it. And it's all just sitting in the basement now because I don't have anything to do with it. And also, I knew that you could pay on your student loan before you actually were supposed to. which I'll talk about that a little bit later. That's one of the 6 things. So I paid like $100 here and there, but not every month, not anywhere near like regularly. I would only pay on it like when I remembered or whatever, which I hit the microphone, sorry, which doesn't translate into, you know, paying bills on a regular basis and not being late and ruining your credit, which actually, thankfully, I was never late on any payments. My credit, like my payment history on my credit is spotless, so very thankful that I was able to do that. But so basically, the gist of that story was that what I did was I spent money on stuff I didn't need. I accumulated this huge thing of makeup. So this drawer set behind me or beside of me there is one of those IKEA Alex drawers. It used to be in the background of my videos when I filmed before, where I filmed like up next to the window. But that was pretty much full of makeup. The top part was like all makeup and the bottom part was like backups of stuff. And I've since dramatically decluttered from that. But yeah, so I bought like, if a new lipstick line came out, I would buy all the shades, even the ones that I knew I wasn't going to wear. The ones that didn't look good on me, the colors I didn't like, or whatever. Like, I would buy all the pinks and stuff, and I hate pink. So, yeah, that's in the past, and I'm not going to do that anymore. But that's what happened. That's where all that money went. So I even didn't really wear makeup every day either. I just collected it. Which, that is a thing. People collect, like, limited edition stuff. But if you don't have the money to be doing that, you don't need to be doing it. So, let's get into the 6 things. So, number 1 is I would have paid every single month on my student loan, which you can do even if it's in deferment. At least with mine, my loan was a federal loan because I'm still paying on it. But I'm not sure about private loans, if you can do that, if they'll let you. But mine was through FedLoan, and you can pay on it even if it's deferred. So basically, if you don't have a student loan, you don't know what that means, is that when you are in school, so let's say you're just starting, you're a freshman, get ready to go in, you have that debt when you go into it as a freshman. So they defer your payments until you're out of school, which is nice. They could not do that. But you don't have to pay on it until you get out of school. However, it does build interest over that amount of time. So, but you can still pay towards that. Actually, no, wait, it doesn't accrue. I'm fairly certain it's been a long time since I've been in college, but I'm pretty sure it does not accrue interest until you're out of college. So, if you pay on it and you reduce the principal that you borrowed, you won't have to pay as much interest in the long run. So that's what I would have done. I would have paid on it monthly. I honestly really and truly could have paid it off before I even graduated. So, yeah, didn't do that. Now I'm literally paying for it. Like, I think by the end of my payment, I'll have paid the total amount of the principal and then like that amount again in interest, which is really horrible, but that's just what I get, I guess. So number 2, I would have researched the cost of living, like rent, utilities, all that stuff. I didn't really have a grasp on it until I actually moved out and started paying all that stuff. It's like right before I moved out, I made a budget. It's like, okay, my rent, I know is going to be exactly this much. I know I can get internet for this much. I know that I have no idea how much the electricity was going to be, which actually wasn't that much in my first place. And I would have looked up, like, how much my car insurance would change, because I went on my own car insurance, which it was about the same as it was when I was on my parents' plan, so. But definitely, like, my advice, if you're in this situation and you're just getting your first job, or like you're in college and working, make sure you look at how much it actually costs to live, because if you're in a job where you're not making enough to cover that, like I was, it's not going to work out. You're going to need to find a new job. Or get a roommate if you're that kind of person, but I'm not the kind of person to have a roommate, so yeah. That's the best option if you need to save money. And then number 3, I would have taken that research and made a savings plan. So I would know, like, okay, I need this much money to pay the deposit on an apartment or whatever, because usually deposit is some places it's only like 1 month's worth of rent is your deposit. Some places it's only $200. Some places it's like first and last month's rent. So it's around where I live. The rent for like a 1 bedroom apartment in like a not so nice area is like 600, and then like a 1 bedroom in like a little bit nicer area would be like 700. So take that into consideration, multiply that by 3, just in case, so you have the next month's rent, because right when you move in, you're going to have the most expenses because you got to set up your electricity and your internet and all that stuff, and that costs a lot up front. So it'd be good to have 3 times the amount of your monthly rent saved up at least. So I would have taken that and then figured out how much I needed to save over X amount of months or weeks, and to be able to comfortably afford that. And then at number 4, once I had done that and made my worked full-time to make enough to actually live on my own, I would have taken that amount, so added up all the bills, rent, electricity, internet, insurance, gas, all that stuff. Well, you're probably paying gas during this point, so maybe not gas, but you know what I'm saying. And then taking all that and set it aside in a savings account, and see if you can live off of what you have left. So you still need to put some in savings. You need to pay if you have debt, like student loans and everything. And that way you can see what it's like to live on it. And then also that you can take that money that you had saved and either have your emergency fund, which is really important, or or just have it for your deposit for your rent, or a down payment on a house if you so chose to do that instead of renting at first. And then at number 5, I would have used credit more wisely. So my first ever credit card was when I opened up a savings account at the bank. I got my first job. They gave me a secured credit card, which had a $300 limit, but I needed to have $300 held in a savings account that I couldn't touch, just in case I didn't pay it or whatever, and then it would help me build my credit. And I got out of control with even that. Like, at first, I was like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know that I'm supposed to, like, use it a little bit, and then as soon as the bill comes, pay it off. And I was doing that for a while, but it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not, like, I was using the credit card and then buying things with my debit card out of my checking account, and then I didn't have enough at the end to pay off everything that I had on the credit card. And then, like, it kind of fluctuated, like it went up and down for a while. At some point I got rid of that card, which I shouldn't have done, and then I got a normal credit card, and I put a lot of my bills on that when I first moved out, which I also shouldn't have done, but that's neither here nor there. That's why I'm talking about this. So what I would have done is just kept doing that. Like, a good thing to do when you get your first credit card is to use it to buy gas, which, aside from the credit thing, number 1, that's good because your identity is most likely to get stolen at a gas station, because of, like, they can put those skimmer things on the pump at the gas station. So if you're using a credit card and they get access to it, it's not your money that they're stealing. It's the bank's, and you're not responsible for that. So if you, like, somebody steals your credit card information and they buy a bunch of stuff with it, the bank, you're not responsible for it. The bank will just, like, write it off or whatever because it was stolen. So, they do that too with the debit card, but you're not tied up in the meantime, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So basically, just use it to buy gas and then pay it off whenever you get the bill. Just do not forget to pay it off. Number 6, this is a little bit unexpected. Like I was saying earlier about buying stuff from, like, Forever 21 and a bunch of crap that I didn't need, I would have spent my money on more better quality, longer lasting things. So that was a point where I had a little bit of freedom, a little bit of expendable income, and aside from putting it in savings and everything, I could have bought, like, nicer clothes, nicer jeans and stuff, because I had jeans that would, like, wear out, and then I would buy another $30 pair of jeans and they would wear out, and then I'd buy another one. So I would have just bought the nicer ones up front that would have lasted longer. I would have bought nicer shoes, which actually caused me physical pain later on. I'm dealing with that too, where I would buy like crappy $10 pairs of shoes, like flats and flip-flops and stuff, and now I have to wear like special insoles with like the same pair of shoes every single day, so that's not fun. I wish I would have been more responsible with that. So that's my 6 things that I wish I would have done. Hopefully this wasn't too scattered. I tried to go off of my notes. And let me know if you have any suggestions, if you're like adult now and you're past having your first job and everything. Let us know what you would have done differently, because I'm sure everybody probably made mistakes. At that point, you know, not everybody's a financial genius right off the bat. So let us know your tips on that, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos about money and stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.